I got expelled, I said, my voice cracking as I stood in the middle of the living room. Dad didn't even flinch. He just leaned back in his chair, arms crossed like a judge ready to sentence me. For what this time? Cheating? Fighting? Wasn't like that? Adam scoffed from the couch, tapping something into his phone without even looking up. Let me guess. You were framed. I was defending someone, okay? I shot back. A kid was getting jumped. I stepped in. Dad's eyes narrowed. So, you played the hero? What did it get you? Expelled. It wasn't fair. It didn't. Even listen to my side. Life isn't fair, Dad snapped. You don't make it easier for yourself. This is your third school in 2 years. I'm done making excuses for you. I turned to Mom. Can you say something, please? She stood near the window, arms folded, eyes down, silent. Like always, Mom. Nothing, Adam chuckled. You embarrassed us again, bro. You know how hard Dad worked to get you into that school? I clenched my fists. I didn't ask for your help. I was trying to do the right thing. The right thing. Dad laughed bitterly. You wouldn't know what that looked like if it hit you in the face. Not like you and Adam. I'm not trying to be perfect.
I know you're
You're a disappointment, he said coldly. Those words landed like a punch. Dad, don't dad me. Pack your things. You're out of this house. What? You heard me? You're kicking me out? Adam stood now, arms crossed like Dad. You're 17, not a baby. Figure it out. I turned to Mom one last time. You're really not going to stop this? She opened her mouth, then closed it again. Still nothing. I looked down, okay? Fine.
Ow.
I walked upstairs in a daze. Every step felt heavier than the last. I shoved my clothes into a backpack. I left the trophies they made me earn, and the books I pretended to enjoy to impress them. None of it mattered. Back downstairs, I stood in the doorway. Dad didn't even look at me. Adam was back on his phone. Only Mom looked up, but just for a second. Goodbye, I said. No one answered. I stepped out the front door, air hitting my face like ice. For the first time in my life, I had nowhere to go. I walked. Past houses with warm lights, past families eating dinner. I kept walking until my legs ached. My phone buzzed. A text from Adam. Good luck being a bum. I deleted it. They didn't even ask if I had somewhere to sleep. They didn't care I sat on a bench in the park, my backpack under my feet. I stared at the sky. No stars, just dark clouds. I laughed bitterly. A disappointment, huh? I pulled my hoodie tighter. Maybe they were right. Maybe I really was the failure. Or maybe I just wasn't what they wanted, and maybe that was okay. I curled up under the rusted bench behind the old bus stop. The cold cement soaked into my bones like guilt. A guy walked past me with a steaming cup of coffee. I stretched my hand out. Spare some change? He didn't even glance at me. That was normal. My stomach growled. I hadn't eaten since yesterday, half a granola bar I found in a trash bin outside a 7-Eleven. That thing tasted like cardboard, but I chewed it slow like it was steak. I pressed my back against the graffiti-covered wall and shut my eyes. Yo, a voice whispered, you'll freeze like that. I flinched and looked up. A man stood there, mid-40s maybe, beard scruffy and jacket full of patches. He wore a camo cap, tilted low. I'm fine, I muttered. Fine people don't sleep. Next to piss stains? I didn't answer. He sighed and sat down beside me like we were old friends. Name's Milo. I blinked. You just talk to strangers like that in this life? Strangers are all you got, he said, then reached into his backpack. Here, he handed me a peanut butter sandwich wrapped in tinfoil. Why? Because you look like you haven't eaten since the dinosaurs died? I hesitated. But hunger won, thanks. I took it and devoured it like an animal. You got a name? Milo asked, watching me like he already knew mine. Jake. Cool, you got that lost look, I snorted. No offense, man, but we're both sleeping behind a bus stop. Yeah, but there's lost and then there's broken. It shut me up. He leaned back, arms behind his head. First night out here? I nodded. Second? Figured. You still got clean shoes? I looked down. They were muddy, but not torn yet. Milo chuckled. Give it a week. They'll be barefoot or duct-taped. Awesome, I muttered. He tilted his head. What happened? What doesn't happen, I replied. Family. Gone, friends. Fake. I got no one. Everyone starts like that. You too. Milo gave a half-smile. Army let me go after a head injury. Wife didn't wait. Came. Back. No job, no home, just a scar and a pension that vanished into her new boyfriend's truck. I stared at him. Damn. He shrugged, could cry or laugh. I chose survival. A silence fell between us. Not awkward, just tired. He broke it. You applying anywhere? Yeah, but no one hires a guy with no ID and who smells like the street. He nodded slowly. They look at us like we're disease. I clenched my fists. I just need a shot, one chance. Then keep showing up, he said. That's how you stay human out here. I looked at him. Why do you care? He smiled. 'Cause someone once sat next to me behind this same bench, fed me, talked to me, didn't treat me like garbage. I owe the street that. I didn't know what to say. He stood up and stretched. Come on, you can't sleep here. Cops will sweep this area in an hour. I stood too. Where do we go? There's a church that lets folks sleep under their back awning. Safe enough. Sometimes they bring soup in the morning. My legs ached, but I followed him. We walked 2 blocks in silence. I didn't feel so invisible anymore. When we reached the church, he pointed. You sleep with your shoes tucked inside your bag, or someone will grab them. Even if they're trash. I nodded. And don't cry aloud. Makes the rats bold. I laughed a little. Got it. We settled on flattened cardboard, the cold wind slicing at us. Milo sighed. Stret'll break you if you don't talk. Talk to who? Me, yourself, God. Doesn't matter. Just don't go quiet forever, okay? He rolled over. Night, Jake. Milo. That was the first night I didn't cry myself to sleep. I scrubbed the urinal with my last ounce of pride. Pick up the pace. Mike Linda barked from the front counter. Toilet paper ain't gonna restock itself. Yes, ma'am. I muttered, keeping my head down. The mop water was cold. My fingers were raw. My reflection in the cracked mirror looked more like a ghost than a man. You done with aisle 5? Not yet. Then move it. Linda was never friendly. Gruff voice, sharp eyes, tighter budget. But she paid on time. And she never smiled. Not even once. One evening, I was wiping fingerprints off the freezer doors when she approached me with her arms crossed. You're not just here for the paycheck, are you? She asked. I paused. What makes you say that? Most people who clean puke off tile once don't show up the next day. I need this job, I said simply. She looked me over. Don't screw it up. I didn't. For the next 2 months, I clocked in, kept quiet, and did what no one else wanted to. Do clean, stock, mop, unclog, repeat. I thought maybe I'd fade into the background forever, till the night everything changed. It was almost midnight. I was mopping near the front when the bell jingled. A man walked in, hoodie up, hands in pockets. Something about him felt ... off. Stores. Closing in 10, Linda said flatly from behind the counter. He ignored her, heading straight to the register. Yo, he said. Empty the drawer. What? You heard me? Cash. Now. I froze, gripping my mop. Linda blinked slowly, then reached beneath the counter. No funny before he could finish. A charge to the mop handle cracked across his back. He stumbled. I tackled him to the ground, pinning his arm before he could reach for anything else. Linda, I shouted, call the cops. She already was. The guy squirmed beneath me, but I didn't let go. By the time the police arrived, I was cussing and groaning, still stuck under me. They cuffed him, asked questions, then reviewed the security footage. You tackled him with a mop? One officer said, raising an eyebrow. Seemed quicker than waiting, I replied. He laughed. You ever think about becoming a cop? No, sir. The next day I came into work expecting to be fired for causing a scene, for using force, for something. Instead, Linda handed me a newspaper. Front page. Janitor stops robbery with mop. I blinked. Is this real? Apparently you're the brave janitor, she said. That's what the video's calling you? There's a video? It went viral. Over 500,000 views overnight. We're getting calls. Reporters. I stared at the grainy screenshot of me holding the guy down, mop handle still in my hand. You mad?
Fast.
No, she said, surprising me. You protected my store. She patted my shoulder awkwardly. Good job. That was the closest thing to a compliment I'd ever heard from her. An hour later, a news van pulled into the parking lot. You, the janitor? Guy with a microphone asked. Yeah. Mind if we get a few words? Linda rolled her eyes. Go on. Just don't quit after this goes to your head. I didn't know what to say. I stood in front of the camera and shrugged. I was just doing my job. That line. That went even more viral. By the end of the week, I'd been interviewed 5 times. Strangers came into the store to take selfies. One woman even tried to hug me while I was dumping mop water. You're an inspiration, she said. I laughed nervously. Just clean toilets. No, she said, eyes wide. You showed courage when no one else would. I didn't know what to do with that. Courage me? The fame was weird. It still made minimum wage. Still scrubbed the same grime. But people looked at me differently now. Like I mattered. One night. As I was clocking out, Linda called out to me. You want extra hours? She asked. Got someone quitting? Are you sure about this? I stared at Milo like he'd just handed me a grenade. He leaned against the kitchen counter, arms crossed. I'm not telling you to perform. I'm saying maybe it's time you let the world hear your side. A reporter? Though I scoffed. What if they twist it to make me look pathetic? Or worse, like I'm bitter? Milo shrugged. So what if you are bitter? You have every right to be. But Talia is different. She's not some vulture. She covers human resilience. Stories. I ran a hand through my hair. Resilience, huh? Is that what they call barely surviving now? He grinned. Exactly. You're still standing. That's the story. The next afternoon, I sat across from her in a borrowed cafe booth. Talia's camera guy sat up quietly while she offered a warm, non-pushy smile. Whenever you're ready, she said gently. My throat tightened. I wasn't used to being asked. I was used to being told, judged, ignored. I guess I'll start from when things fell apart, I said. She nodded. Start wherever you need to. I took a shaky breath. My parents kicked me out too. Years ago. Not in the pack your bags way. More like, I changed the locks while I was at work. Talia's eyes softened. My brother, I said flatly. Golden boy. They needed money for his law school tuition. Said I was old enough to figure it out. I was 19. She scribbled in her notebook, not interrupting. I crashed on Milo's floor. I picked up. Double shifts at the gas station. No heat, no privacy. No help in your family, she asked. They never called, not once. Except my mom, she texted to ask if I still had my Costco card. Talia blinked. That's cruel, shrugged. You get used to being invisible. Silence stretched between us. Then she asked, So why say yes to this interview now? Milo said it was time, I replied. Said people needed to know I existed, that I mattered. And do you believe that now? I hesitated. Some days? She smiled slightly, that's honest. People will respect that. The video went live that night, at first nothing, then suddenly dash everything, millions of views. Comments like floods. I felt this in my bones. This is my story too. Thank you for speaking for us. I sat in shock, rereading each one until my eyes blurred. Milo burst into the living room. Bro, you're trending. Like, actually, trending. I blinked at the screen. What does that even mean? It means people finally see you. 3 days later, my inbox exploded. One email subject caught my eye. Scholarship opportunity, full-tech school sponsorship. I read it 10 times. Is this real? I asked Milo, holding up my phone like it was cursed. He took it, read it, then grinned. Yeah, man, it's real. They want to fund your training. Full ride. I sank onto the couch. I don't even know what to say. You say yes? Milo laughed. You say yes and you start building the life they never thought you'd have. A week later, I met Talia again for a follow-up. She wore the same warm smile. You're a bit of a local hero now. I chuckled nervously. Guess people love a good sob story, no? She said firmly. They love a story of grit, surviving without turning into the thing that hurt you. That one hit me. I just told the truth, I muttered. And it changed lives, she said, including yours. We sat in silence for a moment. Thank you, I said finally. For listening. Thank you, she replied. For trusting me. Later that night, I stood on Milo's tiny balcony, phone in hand. One last message from my mother stared back at me. Saw your little video? That was unnecessary. I deleted it. Then I looked up at the sky. For the first time in years. Felt tall. I was scrolling through my emails like I usually do before bed. Junk, promotions, spam. And then Adam Thompson. Subject line, we need to talk. My stomach tightened. I opened it. Hey, just saw your interview. It's blowing up. People are asking questions. About you. About us. Can we talk? There was no sorry, no how are you, just urgency. I tossed my phone on the bed. That was fast, Milo said from the couch, sipping his soda. I didn't even look up. It's Adam. He wants to talk. Milo raised an eyebrow. Now that you're someone, huh? I sighed. Guess so. What did he say? Basically, they're getting backlash. People are asking questions. Suddenly, they care. Milo let out a short laugh. Oh, now they care. You were invisible to them for how long? I leaned against the wall. Too long. They didn't want you when you had nothing, Milo said. Now your face is all over YouTube and they want dinner. I looked at him. How'd you know about the dinner thing? He held up his phone. Your mom messaged you too, didn't she? I hesitated. Yeah, she said, why don't you come home for dinner? It's been too long, Milo whistled. Wow. Did she include a PS? Sorry we betrayed you and treated you like a stray dog? I chuckled bitterly. Not even close. 8. He stood, walked over, and handed me his soda. You okay? I took a sip. I don't know. It's weird. I thought I'd feel satisfied. Like karma. But it just feels hollow. Because you're not like them. I rubbed my eyes. Should I go? He frowned. What? No. Why would you? I don't know. Maybe closure. Maybe I want to see their faces when they look at me now and realize what they threw away. Milo crossed his arms. They don't deserve that privilege. Closure is overrated anyway, but I deserve it. He paused. That you do. I opened the message again. My mom's words echoed in my head. Come home for dinner. Miss you. Miss me? Where was that energy when I couldn't afford food? When I got rejected from college because they ruined my credit, and I was working double shifts and still couldn't make rent? I stared at the screen until the letters blurred. You want to know what I think? Milo asked. Hit me. You don't owe them anything. Not an explanation. Not your time. It's definitely not a seat at your success story. Nodded slowly, you're right. But something still tugged at me. That little boy who used to wait at the door for his dad to come home, who used to bring his mom flowers from the neighbor's garden just to make her smile, who believed family meant forever. I grabbed my jacket. Milo stood up. Where are you going? I hesitated at the door. Not to them, just out. Need to clear my head. Call me if you need to be dragged out of somewhere awkward. I smirked. Thanks. The air was sharp that night. It's cold enough to sting, but not enough to numb. I wandered through the empty streets until I found myself outside the old park. The one my parents used to take me to before everything went dark. I sat on a bench just thinking. My phone buzzed again. Another message from Adam. Mom's crying. Dad's pissed. They said maybe we were too harsh. Maybe you didn't deserve it all. Maybe we were wrong. Maybe, I typed back. Took you long enough to realize. His reply was instant. They want to apologize in person. I stared at the screen. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. Then I locked the phone and stuffed it in my pocket. I didn't need to hear sorry to move on. I already was. Back at the apartment, Milo was watching some cooking show. "You good?" he asked, not taking his eyes off the screen. "Yeah," I said, dropping my jacket on the couch. "I'm good." He looked at me this time. Really looked. "You sure I am?" I sank into the couch beside him. "I want to apologize." "In person?" And I said nothing. Milo grinned. "Nice." We sat in silence for a while. Then I whispered, "Why does it still hurt?" "'Cause you're human. It feels unfair." "I didn't ask for any of this." He turned down the volume. "You didn't, but you survived it. And now you're rewriting the story." I looked at him. "Even if they come back, especially if they come back, let them watch from the sidelines. That's all they've earned." I nodded. "Thanks, Milo." He raised his soda can to not going back. I clinked mine with his to moving forward. I shut the laptop and leaned back on the creaky chair. "It's official," I said aloud to no one. "I'm certified." My phone buzzed. It was Talia. "Talia, how'd the final go?" I'm guessing the silence means you either aced it or threw your laptop out the window." "Me, I passed. Like, really passed. Top 10%. "Talia, you're joking." Me, nope. I even double-checked because I thought it was a glitch. I heard her laugh through the voice note. That soft, throaty laugh that made my chest feel lighter. "Talia, I knew it. You've got that stubborn brain that won't quit." Me, yeah, well, it didn't always work in my favor. "Talia, that's because you kept using it to please people who didn't deserve it." That hit. I stared at the ceiling. She wasn't wrong. A week later, I was standing in a small, dusty studio apartment, clutching the keys like they were made of gold. "You really did it," Talia said, standing in the doorway. "You're officially an adult." I laughed. Took me long enough. She wandered in, eyeing the cracked tiles and mismatched furniture. Okay, it's a little murdery, but in a charming way. "Yeah, it screams struggling tech. Bro with trauma, doesn't it?" She turned to me. "No, it screams survivor who figured it out anyway." I swallowed hard. "Thanks for coming, by the way. I didn't want to unpack alone." She started opening boxes. "You've never really been alone. You've just thought you were." We sat cross-legged on the floor. Pizza box opened between us. "Did your mom ever call?" she asked softly. Shook my head. "No, not even after the course. Not when I moved. Nothing." She frowned. "You okay with that?" I stared at the floor. "I don't know. Sometimes I think I still want her to say sorry. Just admit she was wrong. She probably never will." "I know." Silence settled. But it wasn't heavy, just honest me. I used to think being loved meant being useful, fixing things, carrying pain that wasn't mine. "Talia, you don't do that with me. Me because you don't expect me to bleed to earn space in your life." She met my eyes. "Hey, your brother's getting married next month. Mom messaged me on Facebook." I stared at the screen. "No, hi. No, how are you?" Just that. I typed back, "Okay." 2 minutes later, another message popped up. "We'd love it if you came." "We," I whispered. Since when was I included in we? I didn't reply. An hour later, Dad texted, "Your mom's right. You should come. It'll mean a lot to Adam." To Adam, the same guy who told me I'd ruin the family's image. I was about to ignore it when I saw the post. "So proud of our son. Can't wait to see him at Adam's wedding. They tagged me. Our son." I almost laughed. When I graduated with honors, no one called. No post. No visit. When my business won its first award, they didn't say a word. But now that my name was on billboards, that I had something to show, they remembered me. I called Emily. They want me at Adam's wedding. "You going?" "I might." "Why?" "Not for them," I said. "For me." The venue was exactly what I expected. Huge, loud, over the top. Luxury everywhere, champagne flowing like water. My father's voice echoing across the ballroom. There. He is, he called. My son. I turned. People were watching. He walked toward me with open arms. I didn't move, but he hugged me anyway. Tight, like we hadn't spent years avoiding each other. We always knew you'd make it, he said, eyes shining with fake warmth. Sure, replied with a smile. Lies wrapped in a tuxedo. Adam saw me next. He looked shocked. You actually? Came, he said, his fiancée by his side. I'm surprised you didn't ask me to stay away. He chuckled nervously. We've grown up. Things change, do they? I asked. He glanced at his bride, then back at me. Look, man. No, we didn't always get along. You stole my laptop and blamed me. I was a kid. You were 17. He cleared his throat. Well, I'm glad you're here now. Smiled. I bet you are. Mom approached with a glass of wine and a practiced smile. You look so good, sweetheart, she said, touching my arm. We're so proud of you. I stared at her. I wish Grandpa had lived to see this day, she added. I didn't reply. She reached into her purse. Oh, I brought something. She pulled out an old photo of me and Adam as kids. You remember this? Why, you told me I was ugly in that photo. Her smile froze. Oh, that was a long time ago. I handed it back. Not long enough. Cousins I hadn't heard from in years started gathering around me. Man, I saw your ad in Times Square, one said. You really made it, another chimed in. Do you remember us? Someone laughed. No, I answered. But I remember who wasn't there when I needed help. They got quiet. I excused myself. By the bar, Uncle Ray leaned over. You know they only invited you because you're famous now, right? I know. He sipped his drink. And yet you still came. Looked him in the eye. Yeah, because I wanted to see if I felt anything. And I finished my whiskey. I don't. Later, Dad made a speech, my 2 boys, he said, raising his glass. Adam getting married. And he looked at me, our golden boy, showing the world what success looks like. Everyone clapped. I clapped too. But inside, silence. As the night wore on, Adam pulled me aside. I meant what I said about us growing up. I tilted my head. So you're saying you regret it? All of it? He said. I treated you like crap. I just didn't want to be second best. I was never in the race, I said softly. I was just trying to survive. I know, he murmured. I'm sorry. For a moment, I saw the little brother in him again. Then I blinked and he was a stranger once more. Mom found me near the exit. You're leaving? Yeah, but the cake's not even cut. I'm full. She reached out, but I stepped back. I know we weren't perfect, she said. You weren't even present. She blinked. You only love me now because the world does. That's not true. It is, I said. And it's okay. I'm not mad. Then why do you sound so cold? Because I finally stopped waiting for your love to warm me up. As I walked out, the music faded behind me. The night air felt cleaner than anything inside. I looked up at the sky, exhaled and whispered to myself. They called me family again, but it didn't feel like home. Not anymore. Can we talk? Adam's voice came from behind me in the hallway, low and hesitant. I turned slowly. Now you want to talk? Yeah, please. I didn't say anything. Just tilted my head toward the empty stairwell. We followed. We stood in silence. I crossed my arms, waiting. I was jealous, he said finally, eyes on the floor. I scoffed. You think that's news to me? No, he muttered, but I need to say it. You were always brave. You did what you believed in, just followed the rules. I thought that made me better. You mean safer, I corrected. You wanted to be the good son, even if it meant throwing me under the bus. He winced. I know, I didn't see it then. I see it now. Great, I said. Good for you, I'm sorry. I stared at him. You should be. You watched it all happen, and you stayed silent. I was scared, he whispered. So was I, Adam, but I still stood up. I paid for it. Alone, his eyes filled with tears. I hated that you had guts, that people listened to you. I felt small next to you. You were my brother, I said, voice tight. All I ever wanted was for us to stand together. But you folded the second things got hard. I know. You sided with Mom and Dad when they called me a failure. You laughed when they said I was ungrateful. I didn't laugh, you didn't defend me either. His shoulders dropped. I was weak. No argument there. I live with that guilt every day. Good. Maybe it'll teach you something. He wiped his face. I don't expect you to forgive me. I just needed to tell you the truth. I stayed quiet for a beat, then asked, "Why now?" He looked up. "'Cause I saw your name on that billboard." And instead of feeling proud, I felt ashamed. I realized what I'd done, what I'd lost. "That billboard isn't just success," I said. "It's survival." Every step I took to get there was a step away from the people who hurt me, including you. I know. I narrowed my eyes. You don't get to just cry and expect things to go back. "I don't expect anything," he said quickly. "I just needed you to know I regret it deeply." I sighed, my throat tight. "Regret doesn't undo pain," he nodded, "but maybe it can stop more pain." I leaned against the wall. "You want to be real with me? Fine. Tell me this: when Mom lied about the money, when Dad screamed at me for being ungrateful, what were you thinking?" He hesitated. I told myself it wasn't my place. Coward. He swallowed. I was. Silence again. His sniffles echoed down the stairwell. I stayed dry-eyed. "You look different," he said quietly. "Not just successful. Stronger. It to be." "I wish I'd been strong too," I nodded slowly. "You all had a choice. I made mine." He looked at me with something like longing. Could we ever be brothers again? I stepped forward until we were eye to eye. He flinched just a little. Said, "I survived you all." Then I turned and walked away. My phone buzzed nonstop. Dozens of notifications. I opened one: Witter, CEO of Fletcher Real Estate, caught verbally abusing his son on camera. This is who runs your housing. Stomach dropped. I clicked the video. "You're pathetic. You'll never amount to anything." Dad's voice, harsh, cruel, unmistakable. Me, 16, is trembling in the corner of our old living room, silent, holding back tears. That moment, it had never left me. And now the whole world saw it too. "Talia," I muttered, dialing her. She picked up instantly. "You saw it? How did this even get out?" "It's everywhere. Reddit, TikTok, X. It hit 1 million views in an hour. Someone leaked it. Don't even know anyone recorded it." Talia was quiet. "Then your mom. She's blowing up my phone." Second later, my own phone buzzed again. "Mom," I hesitated, then answered. "Hi. Why aren't you doing something?" Her voice was panicked. "Take it down. That video is destroying your father." "I didn't post it, Mom, but people think you did." I sighed. "Then tell the truth. Don't play games with me. He's getting death threats. Sponsors pulled out. We're hemorrhaging money. Your sister can't go to school without..." People whispering. "Maybe now she'll understand how I felt growing up in that house. You're being selfish. This isn't justice, it's revenge." "Justice would have been someone protecting me back then," I snapped, not staying quiet while he broke me piece by piece. She went silent. Then, in a smaller voice, "He regrets it, you know. He regrets getting caught." Click. She hung up. I dropped the phone beside me on the couch. Talia was already walking through my door. "You okay?" she asked softly. "I didn't ask for this. I didn't post the video, but you're not stopping it either." I looked at her. Should I? She sat next to me. "Do you want to?" "Don't know. Part of me feels hollow. And the other part?" I exhaled. Relieved, she nodded slowly. "Sometimes karma doesn't need our help. It finds its way." "But am I just watching them burn?" "They lit the fire, didn't they?" I stared at the wall. "Mom begged me. She begged you to erase the truth. She says it's hurting the family. You were part of that family. Did anyone beg him to stop when he tore you down?" I looked at her. Her eyes were firm, not angry, but honest. "What should I do?" I asked. "You already did it. You survived." My phone buzzed again. New headline. Fletcher CEO steps down amid abuse allegations. I handed the phone to Talia. "It's done." "No," she said quietly. "You're done." He's just starting to face what he gave you. I closed my eyes. Somewhere deep down, a strange peace settled in. Not because he suffered, but because for once I didn't. I sat at my desk for hours with a pen in my hand. The letter started and ended the same way. I forgive you, but I don't need you. I never sent it. Instead, I folded it twice and placed it in a book Milo gave me before he passed. He knew he didn't have much time left, but he still managed to wrap it with twine and a handwritten tag. You mattered. Even when they said you didn't. I opened the book again, trembling. Poetry. It was filled with poems, mine, and some we copied from our favorite authors. One in the middle was circled in red ink. A boy becomes a man not when he is loved, but when he learns to love. Without applause. I hadn't cried when Dad ignored me. I hadn't cried when Mom said, "Your sister needs this more than you do." I hadn't cried when my brother spit in my face and said, "You're just bitter." But now, holding Milo's note, I broke. "Damn it, Milo," I whispered, my chest heaving. "Why'd you have to go first?" Later that week, I visited his grave. I didn't tell anyone. I sat cross-legged on the grass and held the book against my chest. "You were the only one who ever saw me," I murmured. "The only one who didn't make me feel like I had to earn being human." The wind moved softly. It's almost like an answer. I pulled the letter out of my pocket, the one I never sent to my family. I read it aloud for the first time. I forgive you, not because you asked, not because you deserve it, but because I deserve peace. I paused. I forgive you for choosing her every time, for telling me to be the bigger person, while she stayed small and loud and wrong. I took a breath. I forgive you for making me doubt my own pain, for giving her excuses and giving me consequences. A tear landed on the page. I forgive you, but I don't need you. I folded the letter, kissed it once, and burned it. With a lighter I borrowed from Milo's old drawer. The flame flickered. The ash scattered like it knew where to go. 2 weeks later, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Hello?" A familiar voice answered. "It's Mom." Silence. "Your dad's been asking about you?" she added. I waited. "Is this the part where you pretend nothing happened?" she sighed. "No, this is the part where I ask if maybe we could talk." I glanced at the poetry book beside me. "Mom," I said quietly, "did you ever wonder why I stopped talking?" "I figured you were angry." "No, I was tired." She didn't respond. "I was tired of being punished for asking to be loved," I said. "I was tired of watching you clap for her while I begged for crumbs." "That's not fair," she whispered. "It is," I said. Another pause. "We didn't know you felt that way." "You didn't care to ask?" she sniffled. "I'm sorry." I didn't say I forgive you. Instead, I said, "I hope you find peace." Days passed. Then a message from Dad. I saw Milo's obituary. "I'm sorry for your loss." That was it. No mention of me, just Milo. I left it unread. A week later, my sister texted, "Hey, Mom, says you're being dramatic. Are you really cutting us off?" I stared at the screen, then typed back, "No, I'm just done pretending this didn't hurt." She replied with a thumbs down emoji. I returned to Milo's apartment one last time. I packed up his things, cleaned the dust off his bookshelf, and stood in the middle of his tiny living room. He had no family. Just me, and he chose me always. I ran my hand over the worn couch where we'd sit and laugh about the world. "You made me feel seen," I whispered. "That's more than my family ever did." On the coffee table, his last note sat under a cup of cold tea. It was creased, but still legible. "You mattered." That night, I dreamed of Milo. We were sitting at the beach. He handed me the book of poems and said, "Keep writing." I laughed. "I'm not good at it. You're better than you think." I looked out at the ocean in the dream and said, "I forgave them." "Did it feel good?" he asked. "It felt ... quiet." He smiled. "That's what healing sounds like." In the morning, I walked into the bookstore Milo loved. The owner smiled. "Back again." I nodded. "Yeah, I want to donate some poetry. Yours and his." She took the book gently and flipped through the pages. You too wrote these? Some. The rest we stole from the stars. She chuckled. That's the best kind of theft. Left the book there, along with a card. Tucked into the back cover, for anyone who's ever felt invisible. You're not. You matter. I stood outside in the sunlight, breathing for what felt like the first time in years. My family still didn't understand, but I finally did. Forgiveness doesn't mean reopening the door. Sometimes it just means locking it from the inside then. Throwing away the key, I sat at my desk for hours with a pen in my hand. The letter started and ended the same way. I forgive you. But I don't need you. I never sent it. Instead, I folded it twice and placed it in a book Milo gave me before he passed. He knew he didn't have much time left, but he still managed to wrap it with twine and a handwritten tag. You mattered even when they said you didn't. I opened the book again, trembling. Poetry. It was filled with poems, mine, and some we copied from our favorite authors. One in the middle was circled in red ink. A boy becomes a man not when he is loved, but when he learns to love. Without applause. I hadn't cried when Dad ignored me. I hadn't cried when Mom said, your sister needs this more than you do. I hadn't cried when my brother spit in my face and said, you're just bitter. But now, holding Milo's note, I broke. Damn it, Milo, I whispered, my chest heaving. Why'd you have to go first? Later that week, I visited his grave. I didn't tell anyone. I sat cross-legged on the grass and held the book against my chest. You were the only one who ever saw me, I murmured. The only one who didn't make me feel like I had to earn being human. The wind moved softly. It's almost like an answer. I pulled the letter out of my pocket, the one I never sent to my family. I read it aloud for the first time. I forgive you, not because you asked, not because you deserve it, but because I deserve peace. I paused. I forgive you for choosing her every time, for telling me to be the bigger person, while she stayed small and loud and wrong. I took a breath. I forgive you for making me doubt my own pain, for giving her excuses and giving me consequences. A tear landed on the page. I forgive you, but I don't need you. I folded the letter, kissed it once, and burned it. With a lighter I borrowed from Milo's old drawer. The flame flickered. The ash scattered like it knew where to go. 2 weeks later, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Hello? A familiar voice answered. It's Mom. Silence. Your dad's been asking about you? She added. I waited. Is this the part where you pretend nothing happened? She sighed. No, this is the part where I ask if maybe we could talk. I glanced at the poetry book beside me. Mom, I said quietly, did you ever wonder why I stopped talking? I figured you were angry. No, I was tired. She didn't respond. I was tired of being punished for asking to be loved, I said. I was tired of watching you clap for her while I begged for crumbs. That's not fair, she whispered. It is, I said. Another pause. We didn't know you felt that way. You didn't care to ask? She sniffled. I'm sorry. I didn't say I forgive you. Instead, I said, I hope you find peace. Days passed. Then a message from Dad. I saw Milo's obituary. I'm sorry for your loss. That was it. No mention of me, just Milo. I left it unread. A week later, my sister texted, Hey Mom, says you're being dramatic. Are you really cutting us off? I stared at the screen, then typed back, No, I'm just done pretending this didn't hurt. She replied with a thumbs down emoji. I returned to Milo's apartment one last time. I packed up his things, cleaned the dust off his bookshelf, and stood in the middle of his tiny living room. He had no family. Just me, and he chose me always. I ran my hand over the worn couch where we'd sit and laugh about the world. You made me feel seen, I whispered. That's more than my family ever did. On the coffee table, his last note sat under a cup of cold tea. Hot. It was creased, but still legible. You mattered. That night, I dreamed of Milo. We were sitting at the beach. He handed me the book of poems and said, Keep writing. I laughed. I'm not good at it. You're better than you think. I looked out at the ocean in the dream and said, I forgave them. Did it feel good? He asked. It felt ... quiet. He smiled. That's what healing sounds like. In the morning, I walked into the bookstore Milo loved. The owner smiled. Back again. I nodded. Yeah, I want to donate some poetry. Yours and his. She took the book gently and flipped through the pages. You two wrote these? Some. The rest we stole from the stars. She chuckled. That's the best kind of theft. Left the book there, along with a card. Tucked into the back cover, for anyone who's ever felt invisible. You're not. You matter. I stood outside in the sunlight, breathing for what felt like the first time in years. My family still didn't understand, but I finally did. Forgiveness. Doesn't mean reopening the door. Sometimes it just means locking it from the inside, then throwing away the key. And that's why I never gave up, I said, finishing my talk. My voice trembled, but I held my ground. The room was quiet. Dozens of teenagers sat in folding chairs, eyes locked on me. Some leaned forward, a few wiped tears. A boy in the back raised his hand. Yeah, I said, pointing to him. He stood slowly. His hoodie hid half his face. How? How did you keep going when everyone called you a joke? I smiled gently, because I believed I was more than what they saw. But it wasn't easy. He nodded, then looked down. I thought I was the only one. It hit me hard. I stepped off the stage and walked to him. What's your name, Tyrell? Tyrell, you're not alone. I used to feel like trash, like the whole world wanted me to disappear. Same, he whispered. My mom says I'll end up in jail like my dad. Teachers ignore me. I get into fights just to feel seen. You don't have to stay in that place, I said. Your story isn't over. He sniffed, blinking fast. How do I change it? I crouched beside him. You already did. Spoke up. That's the first step. His eyes watered. But what if I mess up again? Then you try again. Falling isn't the end. Staying down is. A girl across the room raised her hand. Did you ever think about ending it? And I hesitated. Heart pounding. Then I nodded. Yeah, I almost did. Twice. Gasps scattered across the room. But I didn't, I said. Because deep down, I hoped for more. And I want that hope for you too. Another boy shouted. Did your family ever say sorry? No, I said flatly. Not once. Tyrell whispered. So how do you forgive them? I admitted, but I let go. I stopped carrying their shame. The room was silent again, heavy, but healing. I stood. Listen, all of you. They might call you worthless, but you're not. You're still here. That means something. Clap started. Then louder. A standing ovation. I swallowed the lump in my throat. Afterward, some kids hugged me. Others asked for photos. Tyrell lingered behind. You okay? I asked him. Can I email you or something? Absolutely. I handed him a card. You ever need to talk? I'm here. Looked at the card like it was gold. Thanks, man. No problem. I left the center as the sun dipped below the skyline. The evening air was cool against my skin. My phone buzzed. A text from my old high school counselor. Heard you gave a talk today. Proud of you, kid. Smiled. Later that night, I sat on the hood of my car, staring at the stars. The sky stretched. Forever, like the world finally opened up for me. I exhaled, not because of money or success, but because I felt whole. I'm proud of me, I whispered. Not for what I earned, but for what I survived. I became who I needed when I was a kid. The boy they called a disgrace had become a light, and that was enough. I stood in front of the house I used to call home. The bricks were the same, but they felt smaller, now like. The place had shrunk, or I had outgrown it. My phone buzzed. Message from Mom. We made your favorite casserole. Can't wait to see you. I didn't respond. Talia stepped closer, her hands slipping into mine. You sure you want to do this? I won't go in. It's dropping the card in the mailbox, I said, pulling a small envelope from my coat pocket. You okay? Looked at her, the girl who stayed when no one else did. Yeah, I've got my home now. I walked to the mailbox and slid the card in. It said Happy Thanksgiving on the front, but I didn't sign it with love. Just my name. It's just enough. Talia was waiting by the car. They still act like you're their perfect son, huh? Yep, they're golden boy, I said bitterly. Even after what they did. She raised an eyebrow. You mean kicking you out because your brother needed more space? I nodded, in calling it a tough decision for the family. Like, I was the problem, yet now they show your graduation photo off like it's theirs. I smirked. They didn't even come to the ceremony. Yeah, but now you're successful, so suddenly they want to play proud parents. They just want a piece of the spotlight? She looked at me, voice soft. You gonna keep giving it to them? I shook my head. Not anymore. We got in the car. I started the engine, driving past the quiet street. You know what hurts? Asked after a while. What? They never said sorry. Not once. Talia looked at me. They never will. No. But I kept hoping. Every holiday, every birthday. Some small sign they regretted it. She reached over and squeezed my hand. You don't owe them forgiveness. I know, but I kept trying to earn it. You shouldn't have had to. Silence settled between us for a minute. It's a kind of silence that feels heavy but safe. Finally said, they still call me their pride to everyone who will listen. But I haven't stepped foot in that house in 2 years, and you don't have to. You built something better. Yeah, I glanced at her. I built it with you. She smiled. So, what now? I send cards. Smile for a few pictures if they ask. But they don't get more than that. Boundaries. Peace, I said. Distance is peace. Talia leaned her head against the window, her voice gentle. You've changed, you know. Stronger I had to be. They don't get credit for that. They won't. She turned toward me. You're not angry anymore, are you? I thought about it. The old rage had burned out. What was left? Was cold quiet? No, I said. Just done, Talia whispered. That's even better. We stopped at a red light. A kid was riding a bike on the sidewalk, laughing, free. I used to want them to chase me, apologize, beg, and now I want them to live with what they lost. Talia smiled. That's poetic. It's justice. Justice in distance. I chuckled. Exactly. She looked at me with something soft in her eyes. I'm proud of you. I swallowed hard. Thanks. No, really. You could have let it break you, but you didn't. I almost did, but you didn't. I nodded, staring out the windshield. They wanted to own my light. Now they can watch it from far away. They'll always wonder how they lost you. And I'll never give them the answer. We pulled up to our apartment. The porch light was on. Warm, inviting. This is home, I said quietly. Talia smiled. Yeah, it is. We walked up the steps, hand in hand. I looked back once, just once toward the road behind us. Then I closed the door.